What's happening, Fresh Baked? I'm standing outside the Haunted Mansion Holiday. The Halloween season has begun here at the Disneyland Resort, which is news. Haunted Mansion Holiday is news, but that's not why I'm here today. Actually, that's not the reason why I'm excited about going into the Haunted Mansion right now. I'm excited because I get to get my first close look at the new grass that they've put in. That's the news here. That's what I want to talk to you about today, is the new grass that they've been installing here and throughout the park. We did a construction video last week where we had poked the camera up over the scrim to see what was happening inside. The attraction hadn't opened yet. We wanted to see the progress, and I had commented in that video about how bright and green the new grass looked, which was surprising to me. I was like, my goodness, that looks fantastic. I was corrected obviously right away that no, Dave, that's fake grass. That's not real grass, and my goodness, that really is fake grass. We had also remarked that it looked like they were doing the same thing along, with the grass along the fence line to the walkways in New Orleans Square. They had already been in the process of tearing out the old grass there, but it turns out that they didn't put in additional fake grass, but just regular landscaping. Now, before we get into any commentary on that, let's go next to the main entrance, where there was a new mystery that was immediately solved just a couple days later as well at the main entrance. When we were here last week, also, there were huge construction walls up in front of the Floral Mickey here at the main entrance, and we were wondering, this isn't just to put in the Halloween Floral Mickey. There's no way, because they don't normally do that. They can do that overnight. Not a big deal. There must have been something else at play, and of course it was. When we saw it, it was just plain dirt, except for the, you can see where the flourishes were, the place settings, the markings where they would put the flourishes, and they're here. But yes, in fact, they were installing fake grass out here. I had wondered actually if they were also going to be putting in fake plants, but as you can see, the plants are still real. It is just the grass. Now, these two stories by themselves were news, and they kind of drew attention to the whole thing. Disney's initiative, apparently, to be installing fake grass throughout Disneyland. But that's not actually, that's been going on for a little while now, as it turns out. There are more cases of fake grass inside, right at Town Square. The planter just outside of City Hall to its right has had fake grass for going on a couple of weeks now. And then over in front of the Main Street Opera House, there are two planters with fake grass. I'm not sure the timeline on these, but I would imagine probably within the same time frame as the others the last couple of weeks. One in front of the Opera House, and then one out in front of the Mad Hatter Hat Shop. And I don't think that's going to be it either. We've got these planters here, right here at Town Square, that have plenty of grass in them all over the place, actually. And I do believe that these are going to be prime candidates also for further installation of fake grass. Flashing back to another construction video that we did recently, we were commenting on the landscaping that was installed here out in front of Tomorrowland. We were talking about, they're obviously, I don't know what the correct term is, water resistant. They don't require a lot of water, these plants. People were suggesting that's why they put those plants in instead of the, any kind of landscaping that resembled what was in the concept art. Which, now in theory, or in retrospect, I should say, in retrospect, that makes perfect sense. That it goes back that far, at least, that they've been doing this, and probably further, I gotta say, probably further. And here again, you can expect that the grassy areas next to those new installations are going to be replaced with fake grass. There's actually a lot of instances here in Tomorrowland where that'll be the case. But something that I noticed this where it was pointed out to me recently, and I almost didn't believe it. I had to see it with my own eyes. Let's go to Fantasyland. I want to show you guys something. Did you know, Fresh Bake, that the grass right here out in front of Storybook Land is fake? The letters and the green and purple landscaping or flowers that sort of decorate those letters are real, but the grass itself is fake. And this baffles me or shocks me a little bit, because how long has it been like this? Because I don't remember them ever putting up a scrim here. So they may have done it overnight, but even if they did, when? How long has it been like this? Because I never noticed. And that's a very meaningful point when it comes to the conversation about whether or not we should be happy that Disney is putting in fake grass. And that's something that we've been sort of leading up to in this video is, obviously there are reasons for it, and let me get to that. Storybook Land, I had no idea until somebody pointed out to me that this is fake grass. But now, obviously, when you look at it up close, you can tell very clearly, now that you're aware of it, yes, that's clearly fake grass, not even close. And that's where we get to the sort of conundrum of the whole situation, is because quietly to myself, when I first started realizing about the levels the extents to which they have been installing the grass here, especially the Haunted Mansion is really the one that triggered me a little bit, because I love the exterior, and I think it's beautiful the way they've done it. It kind of triggered me a little bit. God, I kind of, I don't like that. I want the real grass. But obviously, you're kind of two minds about it. Ecologically speaking, for the environment, yeah, thumbs up. You want to put the fake grass out there because it doesn't use, you're using less water, and we're definitely in a drought. The state of California has been in a drought situation for years now, years and years and years, and that's a thing. Although real grass isn't quite as aesthetically pleasing as fake grass, especially when fake grass is taken care of well, which you can't do in the middle of a drought. So it's easy to be of two minds about it, but knowing that that Storybook Land was in the shape it was for who knows how long, the grass out there in the town square, I mean, I didn't even realize it, didn't even notice it. I just walked right by it, that it was fake grass as well. It's not so bad. I'm good with it. I think that if I were to pick a side, I'm absolutely going to pick the side of fake grass. You could probably look for fake grass very soon here out in front of Alice. Next door over here at the Mad Hatter Hat Shop. More here as well. A lot of it, actually. Funny story. Okay, I came here to this exact spot to say, hey, you should expect to find some fake grass here soon. I'm sorry, you should expect to find fake grass here now. That's fake. So, I mean, it's happening. It's been happening. It's going to keep happening. There's a long way for them to go. There's more to go. But what else? What else can we think about in terms of Disney trying to conserve water? How come it hasn't moved on to, let's say, the actual landscaping, the plants, the flowers, and the trees? Well, simply put, grass uses about 50% more water than general, landscaping does. Plants and flowers, they use considerably less water and can be served pretty easily with just something as simple as a drip hose. And in some cases, certain vegetation, certain landscaping choices use considerably less than others, which is the reason why we got these choices here out in front of Tomorrowland. Some have speculated that that was the reason why Disney was taking out so many trees, which I don't believe that to be the case. Trees use even less water, as I understand it. In some cases, you don't even have to put much at all in there. And that's the case for a lot of the landscaping that you see around here. They require very little. But trees, the tree removals are more about keeping them healthy and not, keeping an area around it healthy as well. I'm speaking up directly about the New Orleans Square and Pirates of the Caribbean trees. So grass uses a ton of water, check. Standard landscaping, plants, flowers, trees don't use so much. What else is there that they could try to save water on? And it brings to mind what they're doing here at Matterhorn. There's been some construction going on here. Usually they assume it's the physical mountain itself. But one thing I observed a few weeks ago was that there's two sets of scaffolding outside the mountain right now. Both of them are in front of where the waterfalls exist. Now, I don't know if that's what they're doing, if that's why they're working on those sections or not. I couldn't say. It's something that I'm curious about. I do wonder, what effect those waterfalls might have on the water supply. They obviously, recycle that water, and it's the same water going up and down constantly, but there is going to be water loss due to the fountain, or to the waterfalls. Plus, there are other waterfalls on the opposite side where the water's not presently running right now, but there's no scaffolding up in front of those. So I would feel stronger about that if there were scaffolding up around all of them. This attraction is supposed to open up again in, I think, about a month. So I'm not sure if that's enough time to do whatever it is that they've been doing to this one here to do it to the other waterfalls on the other side. But the other side of this camera, the Nemo Lagoon, of course. Anytime you talk about water conservation, this comes up. If Disney is so concerned about water conservation, how did Nemo become a thing again? Certainly, there's far more water in here than there could be using to water the grass. Although that may or may not be the case. This is a standing bit of water here where it isn't being used on a regular basis. Who knows how much water in comparison could be used over, let's say, a period of 6 months or a year compared to what's being used here at the Nemo Lagoon. However, there is a separate conversation here. This is obviously recycled water, and it gets even more interesting than that, because you could make that observation quite easily, but what they do with this water is kind of fascinating. Disney partners with Orange County, with the local government, with the groundwater replenishment system. All this water, whenever they drain it, it doesn't just drain and run off to the ocean. It gets sent to a filtration system, a recycling center, where the water is filtered and then recycled and used elsewhere. And it works as it's been explained to me. I'm not an expert on this by any means, so correct me if I'm wrong. But the way it was explained to me, the way I understand it, is it works kind of like a bank, in the sense that they drain this water, it gets sent to the groundwater replenishment systems elsewhere in the county, and that goes on record as Disney having made a deposit, quote unquote, of water. Disney, submitted 15 million gallons of water, right? So, and then that water gets cleaned up and it can be used elsewhere. The same conversation could be had for the water at Paradise Bay, for World of Color, and also the rivers of America. That water, when it's drained, winds up being used in your home somewhere, in your water faucet or in your shower. It's recycled and resent out and used in other places. And then when it gets time to, refill the lagoon again, you have that credit in your quote unquote account, and you're able to fill it up. So you haven't actually spent the water. It isn't being taken from the general water supply, if that makes any sense. I mean, obviously you can make the observation that it's better that the water supply for the county has this water rather than it doesn't. But you could also argue that it's not being taken from the water supply. It's an interesting conversation. It's an interesting debate on just whose water it is. Does it belong to the Orange County, to the general public, or does it belong to Disney? I don't know. It's interesting, but at least you could say it's not costing the city or the county anything. It doesn't cost them. It was Disney's water to begin with. They drained it. It's theirs still. It's water that's been the same water that's been used over decades. But if you want to talk about Disney's impact on the overall water supply for the county, they've actually done their part in a way. You have to give them credit. Recent constructions, going as far back as the Toy Story parking lot, Avengers Campus, Galaxy's Edge, all of these sites were built to connect with that same groundwater replenishment system. Anytime it rains, those sites collect runoff. They collect runoff and they just send it. They send it to the water supply, and that is also probably something that they can draw on as well. So if anything, Disney is contributing to the water supply. That's really cool. I have to say that is really cool. For me, I mean, I have kind of a very surface level understanding of these kinds of things. Where does the water go? Why don't every time we go through a drought, I'm wondering, or every time it rains, I wonder how come there's not a giant bucket at the top of a mountain, and they've just filled up that bucket. We need a Coliseum-sized bucket to collect water. There are ways for them to collect that water supply, more ways than I was aware of, and they exist even right here at Disneyland. Toy Story, the Toy Story parking lot, Galaxy's Edge, and Avengers Campus all have that. They all contribute to the water supply. That is neat. And that's pretty much it, Fresh Bake. That's our coverage of the Disney Going Green initiative that's happening around the Disneyland Resort. I wanted to dedicate an entire video to this as opposed to just rolling it into the regular construction videos, because I felt like I wanted to get in depth and give it some focus rather than just, lumping it in with the other things. I find it fascinating. I think that this topic is really curious and interesting on many levels. And hi, how are you guys? And I'm really looking forward to seeing, what other lengths that they go to. I'm looking now for, fake grass in other locations, and I hope that it makes a difference. I mean, I'm sure it must, and for that matter, it has inspired me to do more at home as well, to try to do my part to save water, because guys, it's important. Water is important. Saving water is important. Water is life. Water is everything, and we need it more than just about any. Well, water and air, man. Water and air, clean air and clean water. And hopefully it helps you guys out there as well to have more of a better understanding of why they're doing it, as opposed to just you know, because my very first response was a little bit selfish because I was just like, oh man, you know, I don't want him to get rid of the grass at Haunted Mansion or in the main entrance. I was like, it looks so much better with real grass, but you got to think outside yourself a little bit. You got to think of the bigger picture. So I'm all for this. I'm glad that they're doing it, and hopefully we can all do our part as well, like I said. But that's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching. Follow us on Instagram at _FreshBaked, on Twitter at FreshBakedDizzy, that's fresh with no E, and on TikTok at FreshBakedDizzy. If you like our show and want to show your support, I am melting. Please do consider joining us on Patreon at patreon.com/freshbaked. Otherwise, thanks again for watching, everybody. We love you very much. Be safe out there. Be kind to one another. Fresh Baked.